Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. RHOP Karen Huger upsets Gizelle Bryant with hurtful event timing. One thing about RHOP is that it never fails to bring the drama. Season 9 is starting off strong with new beef between Karen Huger and Gizelle Bryant over two events that were going on at the same time. Based on the context of the situation, this incident might cause an end to their friendship, which was already hanging on by a thread. Read on to find out what happened. It all started in the second episode of Season 9, when Gizelle Bryant and Ashley Darby, also known as Gina and A, told the girls that they were throwing an event. In addition to spotlighting their joint apparel line, the event was also going to be a nod to Gizelle's father, Curtis Graves. He died last year, and this was going to be a nod to him and his legacy. After hearing Bryant discuss the details behind the occasion, Karen decided to invite the girls to another event, which just so happened to start at the same time. Huger was suddenly expected to accept an award, and she wanted her co-stars to be there. The group initially called Darby to give her the heads up that they chose to go to Karen's award show first. Because of the DC traffic, they initially predicted that they wouldn't even get to the G&A event until 8:30, even though it ended at 9. When Ashley relayed the message to Gizelle, she was fuming. Bryant began calling the girls rude and snapped that if they couldn't show up at a respectable time, that they shouldn't come at all. Ultimately, only a few of the cast members were able to make it to the G&A spectacle in time, but by that moment, Bryant already felt betrayed not only by them, but also by Karen. This isn't the first time that Gizelle and Karen have been at odds. Every so often, they seem to be becoming close friends, but most of the time, they are total enemies. No fan could ever forget the Season 3 moment when Karen decided to bring the ex-wife of Bryant's now former boyfriend on camera. Likewise, jaws dropped in the same Season 9 episode of the two-event fiasco, when Gizelle poked fun at Huger's recent DUI. When Karen announced that she was receiving an award, Bryant joked that it had to be for driving into a tree, referencing her co-star's drunken damage. Needless to say, this double event disaster is just the icing on the cake to years of a rivalry between the two housewives. Right after the Season 9 Episode 2 premiere, viewers rushed to social media to share their reactions to the battle of events. Unanimously, people agreed that the entire incident was the result of Huger not being understanding of the gravity of Gizelle's event. In a Reddit thread, fans shared their disappointment for Karen's insensitive behavior. Here are a few of the comments. Karen was purposely vague and knew the time. I could never be friends with her. It's the no accountability for me. It was a crisp autumn morning in Potomac, and all seemed quiet on the outside, but the bubbling tension among the cast of The Real Housewives of Potomac was anything but calm. The grande dame herself, Karen Huger, had dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming, least of all Gizelle Bryant, who had her own agenda and plans for the week. Karen, known for her grace and precision when it came to orchestrating events, had chosen this particular week to announce a lavish, last-minute event that was bound to leave a mark. The only problem? The timing couldn't have been worse for Gizelle. As fate would have it, Gizelle had already planned a major charity event, something she had been working on for months, and Karen's grand soirée was scheduled for the same evening. What initially seemed like an innocent oversight was quickly painted in a more sinister light as Gizelle realized that Karen knew all along about her event. It all started during a casual lunch that Karen had organized a week before the big announcement. Seated at a luxurious bistro, the ladies of Potomac were gathered, sipping on mimosas, and catching up on the latest gossip. Karen, with her signature poise, hinted at something grand in the works, teasing the group about a special night that she would soon reveal. Gizelle, as sharp-tongued as ever, prodded Karen for details, but the grande dame remained tight-lipped, leaving the group intrigued, but in the dark. "So, Karen," Gizelle leaned in, her eyebrow raised. "Is this another one of your grand, over-the-top events? Should I mark my calendar?" Karen, without missing a beat, smiled. "All in due time, my dear. But yes, you might want to make sure you're free." Gizelle chuckled, thinking nothing of it. After all, Karen's events were always dramatic, but she didn't believe for a second that they could overshadow the charity gala she had been planning for months. But then came the reveal, and it was as if Karen had timed it perfectly for maximum chaos. The invite hit the women's inboxes a mere 5 days before Gizelle's event. It was glittering, it was grand, and it promised to be the party of the season. Karen's evening of elegance was set for the exact same date and time as Gizelle's charity gala. Gizelle's initial reaction was shock, quickly followed by disbelief. "Are you serious right now?" she muttered as she read through the lavish invitation on her phone. Her heart sank when she realized that Karen had pulled off the ultimate Housewives move, the classic upstage. In the days leading up to the events, the tension between Karen and Gizelle grew thick, with the rest of the Potomac women caught in the crossfire. Robin Dixon, always loyal to her bestie Gizelle, didn't hesitate to pick a side. "Karen knows exactly what she's doing," Robin remarked during a candid conversation with Gizelle. "She's trying to pull focus from your event. This isn't a coincidence." "She's going to act like it is," Gizelle fumed. "But Karen loves a good show, and this is her starring role. The timing is too perfect. It's sabotage." Meanwhile, Karen remained unbothered, or at least she projected that image to the world. When asked about the scheduling conflict, Karen waved it off with a smile. "Darling, my event has been in the works for months. I had no idea Gizelle had something planned on the same night. If she feels some type of way about it, well, that's on her. I don't do drama over dates. I do elegance and sophistication." But behind the scenes, Karen knew exactly what she was doing. She had heard whispers of Gizelle's event through the Potomac grapevine long before she sent out her invitations. Karen's decision wasn't accidental, it was strategic. Over the years, Karen and Gizelle's friendship had been filled with ups and downs, with power plays becoming a hallmark of their relationship. This time, Karen was making a statement. The grande dame's reign was not to be overshadowed. Gizelle, determined not to be outdone, doubled down on her event. She called in favors from every major player in Potomac's social scene, ensuring that her charity gala would be packed with influencers, donors, and the city's elite. This wasn't just a fundraiser now, it was a battle for social supremacy. The night of the dueling events finally arrived, and the Potomac social scene was buzzing with gossip. Some guests were torn, unsure whether to attend Karen's glamorous evening or support Gizelle's charity efforts. The other housewives, caught in the middle, tried to stay neutral, but loyalty runs deep in Potomac. Ashley Darby, ever the instigator, couldn't resist stirring the pot. I mean, who plans an event on the same night as a charity gala? She said to the camera during a confessional, "Karen's timing is interesting. But I have to admit, I'm curious to see what she's going to pull off." As expected, both events were extravagant in their own right. Gizelle's charity gala, held in a grand ballroom, was a beautiful and heartfelt evening, raising funds for a cause close to her heart. But the chatter among the guests was hard to ignore. Many were wondering how Karen's event was going. Meanwhile, across town, Karen's evening of elegance lived up to its name. It was dripping with opulence, chandeliers, champagne, and a guest list filled with some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in the DMV area. Karen had made sure her night would be remembered, ensuring the press would cover her every move. She mingled with her guests, her smile never faltering, even as she knew Gizelle was fuming across town. In the aftermath, the fallout was inevitable. At the next gathering, Gizelle wasted no time confronting Karen. "You knew exactly what you were doing," Giselle spat, her voice sharp with betrayal. "You couldn't let me have one night. You had to make it all about you." Karen, cool as ever, sipped her wine before responding. "Darling, if I wanted to steal your thunder, you'd know it. But as I said before, my event was planned long ago. If you felt overshadowed, that's not my problem." The rift between the two women had grown wider, and though both events were successful in their own right, the hurt feelings remained. Karen had played the game well, leaving her mark on Potomac's social scene, but it came at a cost. Gizelle, never one to forgive easily, was already planning her next move. In the world of Potomac, the game of social one-upmanship was never ending. And Karen and Gizelle were its reigning queens, each waiting for their next chance to strike.